What's up, gamers, and welcome back to Mataaho. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly now. Shout out to Jamie in the comments of my last video, who came all the way from New Zealand to tell me that it's pronounced Mataaho instead of Mataaho. But yeah, today we're building for the fairy penguins, so let's get right into the speed build. So here I just start laying out a little path here. This is not like a typical normal zoo habitat. This isn't really going to be a zoo at all. I don't even really know what it is. There's like some almost fantastical elements, some magic stuff going on, and then there's also modern random like beach chairs lying around, and then there's also like Polynesian themed items. So who knows what's going on in this zoo? I don't. But here I start working on the little fountain well thing, whatever it is, the little magic fountain. I tried using the fountain piece that you see there to create the little pool, but then it didn't really work very well, and the hitbox for the item itself is on top of the water. So the penguins, when I lowered it down, the penguins were walking on top of the water. It looked a little odd. So instead I just went and worked with the natural water, which ended up working just fine, to be honest. So no complaints there. This little rock formation in the middle that the bubbles are coming out of is sort of based on Devil's Tower in Colorado, which that was formed from igneous volcanic rock, but it was intrusive, and this volcano is spewing out extrusive lava when it's inside the earth. That's what we call magma, right? We learned this in school. And if it hardens, then it's an intrusive rock, but if it comes out as lava and it comes outside, then it's an extrusive rock. So I have an intrusive rock on an extrusive volcano, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but also there's a gigantic Maori is there's kind of a little R. I was saying Maori. Jamie also corrected me on the pronunciation of that. It's a Maori with more of a R roll. I still might be butchering it, unfortunately. I'm just a gringo American, so unfortunate. I don't know how to speak any other languages or anything like that. And then I start working on the foliage palette that I kind of put together. It's supposed to be more like dry-ish coastline, because like when you think of an island like Hawaii, you think, oh, it's all tropic, it's green, there's flowers everywhere. But on some of the islands, I don't know about all of them, there's more of like a lush green side, and then there's like a drier side to the island, and that has to do with the way the winds blow. Oh, and getting off topic, off tangent, I wanted to make like plumeria trees, because the plumeria plants we get in game are just like these ground flowers, but in real life plumeria trees they grow like decent height, not super tall, they're pretty small. And there were some of these on the workshop already, but I just wanted to make my own because I like making my own stuff. And also I felt like some of the ones in the workshop were a little big. They don't get that big, but they're not ground plants. That's not how it works. They're not like rose bushes like that. No, way bigger. Anyways, back to the islands. Winds blow the moisture from one direction, and then it rains on one side of the island while less moisture gets to the other side. So one side is all tropical and lush and green, and the other side is more dry. And that's another science lesson for you. We're getting so educational today. Anyways, I'm using the moss decals here, and I'm just coloring them the same color as the sand, so that there's not just like a sharp edge on the side of the path. And then excuse me, still coughing, hopefully that goes away at some point. I started working on the burrows, because little penguins actually do burrow underground, which is cool. They're not like they're a little different from the burrows that we have in game. I don't think they're quite that deep, but they do like put their nests underground, and they lay their eggs down there, and it's a cool thing. Most penguins, you see them like making nests out of rocks, but these little penguins are different. I'm really, really happy that we have these little penguins. I say the more penguins we have in game, the better. And they're so adorable. They are so cute. Every animal in this DLC is so freaking cute. It makes me want to die. Like, Frontier really nailed the appearance on all of these things. All the animals that they added. Easily the cutest DLC we've gotten so far. And honestly, with all like the animals and the scenery pieces that came in this pack, this is one of the best packs that Frontier Planet Zoo they've ever put out. I'm gonna say it. At some point after the next DLC drops, it'll have been a year since my previous tier list ranking, so maybe I'll jump back in and do another one of those after Frontier decide to make the next pack come out. Probably in December is when that should come out, if they're on schedule. I did want to make the beach very rocky and gravelly, so I started here. I just took the path, the gravel path, made it really big, 12 meters wide, and then I just sort of like put that halfway above and halfway below the water. I guess this excuse me, this would be like a low tide, and that'll be relevant later in the video because like the shoreline is very steep here. But yeah, so I start with the gravel path, and then I go on to using these the decal pieces again, and then I start using the Zen Pebbles pieces. And if you're wondering, what are these Zen Pebble pieces? I've never seen them in my life. Well, these are in-game pieces. Technically, you can't actually access them from the menu normally. For whatever reason, you just can't without using mods. And so the Planet Zoo Plus mod makes these pieces available. For some reason, they just don't show up in the menu unless you have the Planet Zoo Plus mod. Or if you don't want to mod, I know there's people that have uploaded these as workshop items, and then you can just like subscribe to that workshop item and then you'll be able to use it. And yeah, so if you don't want to install mods, do that. Get these Zen Pebble pieces, and there's a few other pieces I think that for some reason just aren't in the build menu. Frontier just didn't want us to have them for some reason. I don't know. And then to get an even more natural look, I start adding a lot of these faux rocks, and I colored them all so they would sort of like blend in with the gravel pieces, because there's a lot of different colors in the gravel. And so I tried to get all those pieces to look like the gravel, so everything flows together. I wanted everything to look like it just sort of like blends together, and you don't really see where the sand stops and where the gravel starts, so that everything feels nice and organic and natural and pretty, because I like making pretty things. And that's kind of the whole point of this project. I'm just making pretty stuff. There's no like rhyme or reason behind any of it. I'm just like, oh, that looks cool. I'm starting to lose my voice, and I'm like barely halfway through this voiceover. I had to go get a drink of water a second ago. But yeah, I'm just trying to make stuff that looks pretty, and yeah, that's my point. Because the building options in this game are really like pretty limitless if your imagination is good enough. Because you can make like custom things out of the items in game. So even if there's not a specific piece that you want, you can make it or maybe find it on the workshop where someone's already made it for you. I did make something custom later on in the video that you'll see that I'm quite proud of, and I'm going to be doing more custom stuff later on down the line. I kind of ran out of time for this video. It was supposed to come out yesterday, and now it's coming out today, except it might come out technically tomorrow because I'm recording this at 11:25 so it might not come out until after midnight, so it might be technically tomorrow, in which case I lied in my community post. Unfortunate, it happens to the best of us. So here I'm working on a little drink stand. I was inspired by the live stream that Planet Zoo did, the mixology live stream. That's what it's called, right? I don't know. I don't drink. They made the mocktails, the non-alcoholic cocktails things. And there was the 5 different flavors, and it was supposed to be like a teaser on what DLC we'd be getting next. And so I decided to make the 5 drinks you could buy from this. Those 5 drinks that were in the live stream. Even though I don't think I show that here specifically, you'll see it. There's like signs I put in the background. Anyways, very cool. I liked it a lot. But yeah, just made a little shack, I don't even know what you'd call this. Whatever it is, you can go there and you can buy drinks and then sit on the beach and look at penguins. And it sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like a good time. And then, of course, because I have to make everything more difficult for myself, I had to make custom thatch pieces. Speaking of which, if you haven't already heard, update 1.15.1 made all of the thatch pieces in Planet Zoo FlexiColor now. And like, not just the wood on the bottom, it's like the actual thatch itself is FlexiColor, and that's the best thing. But I'm already moving on to the next thing in the build, so I'm going to talk about that instead. So I start working on tide pools, and so what I did here, I realized that I wasn't just going to be able to fill this part up with water. I was going to try and use like glass barriers and then hide the glass barriers, but that was not going to work. So I used the fountains here instead of in the actual spring itself. And then I used a bunch of these stalactite pieces because they look a lot like that texture they have on the bottom. It looks a lot like the kind of rocks you see in tide pools. And this was the idea that really like pushed it over the edge, where I was just like, oh, I'm doing too much here. It's not gonna come out. The video's not gonna come out on time. And I'm not even done with the tide pools. I only did a little bit of stuff. Also, if you ever see the little part in the recording where it just like freezes for a second, that's me hacking out my lungs and like walking away from my computer for a second. So that's fun for me. I really want to be over this cough really soon. I've been trying everything. I've been taking like 4 Benadryl a day and like using like this nose spray stuff. Right now I'm just like inhaling the fumes from peppermint oil, which kind of helps, but it's like a very temporary solution. It'll clear your sinuses up really fast, but it's not gonna last. So you just have to like be constantly sniffing peppermint oil, which is fun, I guess, for me. Anyway, the FlexiColor roofs, the FlexiColor thatch roofs, I was gonna talk about that. All thatch pieces in Planet Zoo are now FlexiColor, which is beautiful because now you can have pink thatch roofs if you want. I think it's kind of funny that we got 2 new thatch types this year in DLCs, and every time we were like, oh, it's not FlexiColor, come on, Frontier. But like in the background, Frontier was just like, hey, just you wait, we got something cooking and you're gonna like it. And they didn't just give us 1 FlexiColor thatch roof set, they just made all of them FlexiColor, which is a lovely, beautiful thing. And I love Frontier because they actually, you know, care about what their players want, and they listen and they add those things, which is why I think birds are coming to this game. I will die on that hill. Birds will come to Planet Zoo. I'm like 90% sure of it. Okay, so here I start working on something custom. Normally I don't make custom pieces myself, but I could have just gone to the workshop and gotten like some items to do certain things, to fill in the tide pool. What I'm making here is just an anemone. Try not to stumble over my words. It's an anemone. Anemone? I'm starting to lose it. So I'm making an anemone, but I have this weird thing where I don't want to like use stuff from the workshop because I feel like that's cheating low-key, which I shouldn't feel like that. But I just want to make everything be mine. I don't really like working with other people. I don't like group projects. I want to do everything myself. So anyway, I wanted to make anemones. And I was looking around for what pieces I would use, specifically for the tentacles, because it's really hard to find like super small pieces that you can use to make custom items, which is why I just don't do it half the time. But then I stumbled upon the kiwi statue from the new pack, and I knew I had struck gold because the beak is long and thin and pointed, but it's not like not perfectly smooth. It looks more organic and natural. This new kiwi statue, I guarantee people are going to start using the beak on the kiwi for stuff because it works so well for natural things, at least. So yeah, that's how I made the anemones, and then I used just like the African wooden domes and the eggs, and then I started putting in like the Spanish hanging moss to be like seaweed, which I can't take credit for. I think that's a Drac thing. I took that from some of Drac's workshop items. That's where I took the idea from anyway, because we don't have kelp. I wish we had kelp in the game. But hey, that's the end of the speed build, so hope you enjoyed that, and I will turn you over to the tour. Hello and welcome to the little tour of Fairy Springs. Real quick, I'm not 100% done. There's still things I need to add, like a big welcome sign that's gonna like go over the path here. I just haven't felt inspired for what that should look like yet. But anyway, we get into here and we start looking around, and it's all pretty and nice. And we got some signs. So we got New Polynesia that way. That's gonna be something I build later on. And then we have this sign pointing over to Fairy Springs. So we go over here. It's called Fairy Springs, of course, because of the fairy penguins. And we go around and we get this lovely look at the little spring and the little penguin walking by. This is a walkthrough. The penguins can just kind of walk everywhere, and it's kind of an issue that there's not really any boundaries because, oh look, there you see. This is what I'm talking about right here. It's an issue that there's no boundaries because the penguins have this like mad urge to try and escape, and so they'll swim all the way out until they get out past the barriers, and then the no escape being on just teleports them back to the gate, which I feel like they should make it so that the no escapes thing, the thing you can toggle on and off in Sandbox, I feel like they should make that so that they just don't cross the fence instead of try to cross the fence and then get teleported back to the habitat gate. But it is what it is. I'll have to figure that out later. I'm just realizing there's so many things that I like still haven't done yet that I've thought about doing. There's gonna be like lights in the pool to make it look even more magical than it does with the bright blue water and the bubbles coming out everywhere and the mist. But yeah, that's that. Then you go over here. There are paths here so the guests can walk around. You just can't see the paths because they're null. And then there's definitely a lot more I need to do with the tide pools as well. I just put in the anemones and that's it. I want to make like sea stars and shells and things, but I ran out of time. So there's a couple little, nice spots for people to sit. They can come over here, get the little drinks. We'll take a citrus blossom. That sounds nice. We'll get one of those. Then you can look over here and you can see the burrows. I've been debating like putting some kind of like guard rail thing for the fence to be like, or for the guests, so that they're not like supposed to go over there. There'd be like a sign like, oh, no walking over here, penguin nesting or whatever. I don't know if I should do that. Maybe. It might look ugly, and I don't want to do anything ugly in this suit. I want everything to be gorgeous, which so far I think I'm doing pretty good. And there's gonna be a lot more penguins. There's only like 40 penguins right now. I'd like to have at least like 100 penguins in here, just so that it's like super alive. But yeah, that's really all I've done since, you know, the last video. Oh, there's this little thing out here. Yep, I'm still coughing. Yeah, there's like this little canoe and stuff, and the penguins can actually use this, because even though this enrichment item has like ridiculous amount of space that it needs, I clearly have enough space because I have the entire ocean. But yeah, that's all for now. If you like the video, if you like the build, hit that like button down below. Hit the subscribe if you want to see more of this build, what I've got coming up next. I believe my plan is next will be the Tasmanian Devils. That's what I'm going with for now, unless I change my mind, which is entirely possible, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.